If lately you feel an intense need to rest, disconnect from the noise, retreat into silence, your body may be responding to profound energetic recalibration. There is a reason why so many people right now feel exhausted, emotionally overwhelmed, hypersensitive, and called into silence. Something deeper is awakening. And in this video, I'm going to explain how awakening the inner portal changes the way that you experience your reality forever. So, why can some human beings perceive the new earth frequency band and others cannot when both are inhabiting the same physical environment? The answer is not karmic. It is not that some souls are more evolved or spiritually advanced. The answer has to do with your pineal gland. It is a portal between your physical reality and higher states of perception that has remained dormant for generations. It is the seed of higher perception that begins to awaken within it. A profound shift in consciousness will be experienced, and this is when you will be able to perceive the new reality. The pineal gland is a portal, a frequency translator that connects your limited consciousness to the infinite field of possibilities beyond the physical perception. When it is not fully operating, the aging process occurs. It is not primarily a function of time. It is a function of receiving the photonic light in a very reduced capacity. The human body was designed to receive a continuous supply of high frequency information from the plasma light through the pineal gland that guides, sustains the regenerative processes of the cellular system. When this reception is blocked, the regenerative cycles lose their cycle. The body begins to operate without its primary configuration. The cellular renewal that was designed to continue as a coherent way becomes increasingly disordered. The disorder accumulated across decades creates aging. This process is not irreversible, but it requires the understanding of what is causing it before it can be addressed. Deep within the tissue of the pineal gland, there are microcrystals, are crystalline structures composed of calcium phosphate that responds to electromagnetic stimulation by vibrating. The pineal gland is a receiver, a crystalline antenna positioned exactly to be the gateway to higher perception. The frequencies this antenna was designed to receive are not of the ordinary visible spectrum. They are within the higher photonic ranges delivered by the solar events, the galactic photonic field the planet is traversing, and the frequencies of the heart in deep states of genuine coherence. When the crystals cannot vibrate because the gland is calcified around them, the antenna is frozen. The frequencies continue to arrive, yet the signal that is broadcasting, but the receiver cannot respond to it. This is when the capacity to perceive does not occur, because the pineal gland is not operating. The pineal gland produces melatonin and regulates sleep. It also produces DMT, dimethyltryptamine, the molecule of the spirit, the substance released during death, birth, deep states of meditation, and mystical experiences. When the pineal gland is calcified, it produces this molecule in very small quantities and very specific moments. And it produces this substance because it is literally the bridge between the physical world and the non-physical dimensions of reality. It is the biochemical translator of spiritual experiences. It is the mechanism through which infinite consciousness communicates with the finite body. The original template with the gland functioning as intended produced this molecule DMT consciously as a part of the normal awakening perception. What mystical experience is, the direct perception of the unity field, the sense of being connected to all of life simultaneously. The quality of perception is not the membrane between the self and the rest of existence become transparent. That was not meant to be a rare experience. It was meant to be a daily, ordinary consciousness. The mystical is not an elevation above the human. The human functioning as designed. This is what the restoration of the glands functioning returns, not a permanent, altered state incompatible with the functional of daily life, but a quality of ordinary perception which the higher dimensional reality bands are simply part of what is visible as natural and as capacity to see the color or hear the music. The pineal gland is calcified and suppressed by the modern style. When this happens, the communication is interrupted and you become trapped in the sensory perception of the five senses. You forget that there is much more beyond the physical eyes can see. When the pineal gland begins to awaken, to decalcify, to activate, everything changes. The perception expands, intuition sharpens, dreams become portals, synchronicities multiply, life ceases to be a random sequence of events and begins to reveal patterns, meanings, messages. You begin to perceive that you are being guided. You begin to feel that there is much greater intelligence orchestrating the events of your life. You begin to trust that you were never alone, that there was always a loving presence protecting you, guiding you, even when you couldn't perceive it. The planet's frequency is changing to the constant solar radiation that we are receiving, and this is causing the pineal gland to respond, decalcifying and pulsating with light. So what are the cause of calcification of the pineal gland? The mother style, our diet, the fluoridated water, constant exposure to artificial light, chronic stress, disconnection from nature, the absence of true silence have calcified the pineal gland. Fluor introduced into the water supply of a significant proportion accumulates in the pineal gland at concentrations higher than any other tissue in human body. The accumulation disrupts the gland's production of its primary secretions. The specific frequency bands generated by the wireless communication structure interacts with the gland's natural electromagnetic sensitivity in ways that are not neutral. It can be harmful. Immersion in an environment of continuous artificial electromagnetic output blocks the capacity to receive the natural electromagnetic light. Being under conditions of stress and threat, feeling danger, suppresses the pathways that the pineal gland produces, the most important secretions. It is shut down by the chronic fear. Fear produces cortisol. Cortisol suppresses the pineal gland. The suppressed pineal gland cannot receive the frequencies that will dissolve the fear. A civilization operating system that creates economic scarcity, social competition, media environment saturated with threats in the narrative, family systems conditioned by unhealed trauma, human nervous system in a state of low grade suppresses the capacity to perceive the reality of expanded states of consciousness. The solar flares that are coming right now on the planet affects the human body. These are mass ejections, specific photonic frequencies arriving with increased intensity in the current solar system. These are precisely calibrated to the frequencies of the pineal's microcrystals to respond to. Every significant solar event is delivering a specific photonic package to every human body on Earth. In a body whose pineal gland is severely calcified, this package arrives and finds a receiver that cannot adequately respond. The individual may experience the event as pressure, fatigue, disrupted sleep, emotional surfacing. In a body whose pineal function has been even partially restored, the same event registers as crown activation, third eye pressure, and sometimes uncomfortable, but it carries a quality that is not discomfort. It is a sudden arrival of knowing that the rational mind cannot understand. There is a profound difference between the experience of a body being broken down by the forces it cannot handle and the experience of a body being upgraded by the frequencies it was always designed to receive, but has not had access for a very long time. This requires preparation. The awakening of the pineal gland is not a passive process. You need to create the conditions for the awakening to be sustainable, integrated, and not unbalanced. Creating these conditions means consciously caring for your body, paying attention to what you eat, because the diet has a direct impact on the health of your pineal gland. So what are the main things that you can do for the restoration of the pineal gland? First, removing chemical suppression where possible in the most foundational step. Drink clean, pure water, specifically that one that has been filtered to remove the fluoride that accumulates in the pineal gland. This is not a luxury for those whose biology is undergoing a genuine pineal restoration. This is critical. Third, removing all processed foods, refined sugars, excess of fluoride calcify the glands and blocks the function. Eating living foods, pure water, leafy green vegetables, fruits, and seeds nourishing and cleanse the pineal gland. Reducing the sustained low-grade cortisol production that chemically blocks the gland's function. The balance of chronic nervous system and stress. The problem is the chronic background that harms of the threat state activation that has been so normalized that is no longer experienced as stress but simply as ordinary. The interpersonal situations tolerated in the past, the point of honest recognition, the inner critic running its loop underneath of every activity. Spending consistent time in full spectrum of natural light, sunrise, sunset, which fall the photonic ranges of the gland's crystalline structures were designed to receive, to support the resonance restoration. Cultivating inner states that are neurological opposite of cortisol production, not as a performance, but as a spiritual aspiration. Going into inner states of stillness, wonder, trust, that allow the gland's natural production to proceed, that stops the analytical mind and it tracks and replaces its noise into something softer and more spacious. It is a moment of the pineal gland nourishment. Pay attention to your sleep rhythm, because the pineal gland functions best when you respect the natural cycles of light and darkness. Going to bed early, waking up with the sun, and avoiding screens before bed prevent the glands from doing its work without interference. Pay attention to the quality of your thoughts. The pineal gland responds to energetic stimuli, emotional frequencies, mental patterns. When you are in a state of fear, anxiety, or anger, the gland contracts. It closes. It protects itself. When you are in a state of peace, gratitude, love, and presence, the pineal gland opens, expands, and becomes active. So this awakening brings some symptoms. What are these symptoms? The pineal gland, also called third eye, the seat of the soul, the portal to expanded perception, is beginning to awaken, connecting with the dimensions of reality that have been dormant for a very long time. This requires the nervous system to recalibrate. The energetic structure needs to reorganize, and for this, the body needs to rest. This process of the pineal gland activation does not occur in isolation. It is a part of the greater awakening that is happening to all humanity right now. It is a collective movement, a wave of consciousness that is sweeping the planet, inviting every human being to awaken, to remember, to reconnect with their own essence. This opening, this recognition, begins when you honor the inner silence and rest. The need to rest, to close your eyes, even when your body isn't physically exhausted, and the disconnect from the noise of the world. It is a call to reconfigure yourself on a more subtle level than the linear mind can understand. This is a preparation. The capacity for what might be called truth, sensing, increases. The enhanced ability to sense the genuine states of a situation, of a relationship, of another person in experience arise before it is assessed by the rational mind. Synchronicity begins to feel less like a random coincidence and more like a reliable navigational system. The sense that the field around you is responsible to your inner states in ways that you are increasingly unmistakable. A restoration precedes, the perceptual access expands. The capacity to sense the energetic reality beneath the social surface of interactions develops deeply. The ability to know something about a situation that cannot have arrived through normal information channels. For some, this eventually extends into experience of multi-dimensional sight. The planet's frequency is changing due to the constant solar ejections that we receive, and this is causing the pineal gland to respond and beginning to decalcify, to pulsate light. The intense desire to lay down and close your eyes arises. At this moment, the spine aligns, the brain and the heart harmonizes, and the pressure on the nervous system decreases. The mind, which is always bombarded with visual stimuli, is given permission to rest. In this interval between doing and being, the pineal gland has the space it needs to do its work. It begins to secrete subtle substances, emitting frequencies generally suppressed by the stress, and connecting with layers of perception and forgotten memories. with knowledge of the very structure of your soul. Society has been conditioned to believe that rest is a waste of time. Productivity is a virtue, and stopping is failure. And this is the way of keeping the collective consciousness asleep. When you're constantly moving, the pineal gland can't do its job. It can't open up. It can't connect with your true nature. A consciousness disconnected from its nature is a consciousness that is easy to manipulate. The pineal gland can only do its job when you go within and listen to the silence. This is when it can show you the veil beyond appearances, reconnecting with your true nature. Now the body asks for rest to live in a completely new way. When you honor this call and rest without guilt or judgment, you open yourself to the process of transformation. In the state of receptive stillness, you begin to feel and perceive things that cannot be explained by the linear mind, things that are full of meaning. You might wake up in the middle of the night and have sudden revelations, feel pressure in your head, see the lights with your eyes closed, geometric patterns, moments of clarity, and perceive the truth of something without needing explanation. All of these are signs that the pineal gland is awakening. You are accessing other dimensions of your own being. This process is neither linear nor not predictable. Some days there are an intense desire for silence, and other days you may feel expansion. This occurs in cycles and waves of transformation. It is a journey, an unfolding, a process of cleansing, calibration, and expansion that can take months or years. Every time you choose stillness, you are accelerating the process and the transition. So rest is also response to the world's energetic overload. Collective emotions are intensified. The chaos and confusion are at very high levels, and as a sensitive being, you are absorbing and processing these energies, navigating these dense fields. The body needs moments of disconnection, reflection, withdrawal to cleanse, integrate, and recalibrate. You are creating an inner sanctuary in which you allow the nervous systems to safely release. Where the energy field reorganizes, the subtle energies do their cleansing and healing work. The pineal gland finds its conditions to activate, and the receptivity that allows deeper, higher frequencies to be integrated. A human being in a deep state of presence, anchored in the present moment, listening to their inner voice with an activated pineal gland connected to their own essence. It is a human being who can no longer be controlled by external narratives, see through the illusion, and knows the truth. Listen to your body and its needs. Enter into inner silence. Surrender to the process so it can take you where you need to go. You are opening a portal that connects you to the version of yourself that is beyond the stories of the mind, of your past, your projections of the future, and it opens you to your true self. You begin to remember who you are, why you are here, that this life is not all that you are. You are much greater. You are an infinite consciousness having a temporary experience of limitation. This experience of limitation has a purpose. It is a school, an opportunity for evolution. But for the learning to integrate and consciously to expand, you need to be awake, to be present, to be connected to the deeper layers of your being. And the pineal gland is the key to this connection. By honoring your personal process and caring for your body, you are contributing to this collective awakening and raising to the frequency of planetary consciousness as a whole, because everything is connected. You are part of the unified field of consciousness. When you rise, you create a wave of resonance that affects everyone around you. You become a frequency transmitter with your presence. And this is the true spiritual work. It is about remembering, returning to the center, anchoring the light of the consciousness in your daily life in the material world. When you feel this invitation to rest, to introspection, honor the process, because it comes from the courage to face what is happening with you, which is sacred, profound, transformative, the beginning of a journey that will take you to places the mind cannot imagine, but the soul has always known it existed. As you surrender to the process, you will begin to feel changes, more subtle at first, greater mental clarity, sharper perception, increased sensitivity to the energies around you, the ability to discern between what is true and what is illusion, a deeper connection with your intuition, your inner voice, with the wisdom that has always been within you waiting to be heard. These changes don't happen dramatically. They happen gently, gradually, like the dawn slowly arriving until you realize it's already full day. And in this new awareness, with a new perception, you will begin to see life in a completely different way. You will realize that the problems that seem so big were just the reflections of unresolved internal patterns. That the people who were so difficult were mirrors of yourself that needed to be integrated. And the random events were perfectly orchestrated to take you exactly where you needed to be. This perception will not lead you to become passive or to give up on life or to become someone who accepts everything without question. On the contrary, it will give you the clarity, the strength, a determination that comes from a place much deeper than the ego. It will allow you to act from presence, from awareness, and connection with your true purpose. When you are connected to the deepest layers of your being, you no longer act from fear or lack, but from fullness, from abundance, and the inner certainty that you are exactly where you need to be. You have exactly what you need to have, and you are exactly where you need to be. And from this solid foundation and awareness and presence, you can create, manifest, transform your reality. Not by fighting against it, not by resisting, but aligning with it, flowing with it. This process of activating the pineal gland does not distance you from life. It brings you more fully into life, allowing you to experience life in a more vivid colors with some intense flavors and deeper emotions. When you are present, awake, and connected, you no longer live in the past or in the future. You are here and now, which is the only moment that exists. In the eternal now, there is peace, a joy that depends on nothing external, on circumstances, on things being in a certain way. A peace that always was and always will be. The more that you surrender to the process, the more that you will discover this peace that surpasses all understanding. And when you arrive there, everything changes, because you cannot forget what consciousness has already perceived. You cannot go back to the being that you used to be before knowing and experiencing what you know now. The transformation becomes irreversible and the awakening becomes permanent. Life reveals itself as sacred gift. It always was, with all its moments. Breathe, allow, Trust, listen, don't try to control the path. Accept it and allow the transformation with or without your mind's permission. In the surrender and the opening, this trust is what you cannot understand. You will feel what you have always been searching for. You will find yourself. You will find peace. You will find home. This reconnection is the most important journey that you can take. Stay tuned for the next video because it contains information that complements everything that you have received so far. In the meantime, all my blessings to you.